The hidden power behind Moses' staff, most people miss this. There was nothing impressive about it. No gold, no jewels, no sign that it carried anything extraordinary. Just a piece of wood, weathered, worn, ordinary. The kind of object most people would overlook without a second thought. And yet, that same staff would confront kings, divide seas, bring water out of rock, and become a visible extension of God's power on earth. So the question is not just what was in Moses' hand. The real question is, why did God choose something so ordinary to release something so supernatural? Because hidden inside that question is a truth that most people miss. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Moses didn't start as a leader. He didn't start as a prophet. He didn't start as a man who believed he could change anything. He started as someone who ran. After fleeing Egypt, Moses found himself in a place that felt far removed from destiny. He became a shepherd, day after day, leading sheep across dry land. Quiet, isolated, repetitive, and in his hand was a staff. That staff wasn't special. It was a tool, a support, something to lean on, something to guide sheep, something to defend against danger. It represented his daily routine, his survival, not his calling. But what Moses didn't know was this. The very thing he saw as ordinary, God saw as the starting point of the extraordinary. Then came the moment that changed everything. A bush burning, but not consumed. Fire without destruction. A sight that demanded attention. Moses turns aside to look, and in that moment, God speaks. Not to the version of Moses who grew up in Pharaoh's palace. Not to the version who tried and failed to deliver his people, but to the version of Moses who felt hidden, forgotten, and unqualified. And God says something that would shake anyone to their core. I am sending you. Just like that. No long preparation speech. No detailed plan. Just a calling. And immediately, Moses resists. Who am I? What if they don't believe me? What if I say the wrong thing? I'm not a good speaker. Excuse after excuse. Fear disguised as humility. Doubt wrapped in logic. And if we're honest, we've all been there. Moments where we feel something pulling us toward purpose. But we respond with reasons why we can't. But here's where the hidden power begins to reveal itself. God doesn't argue with Moses' insecurities. He doesn't try to boost his confidence with compliments. Instead, he asks a question, a simple question, but one that carries eternal significance. What is that in your hand? Pause. Let that settle. God could have done anything in that moment. He could have handed Moses something new, something impressive, something supernatural from the start. But he didn't. He pointed to what Moses already had, a staff. And Moses responds, a staff, nothing more, no excitement, no expectation, just identification. But what happens next changes everything. God says, throw it on the ground. Moses obeys, and suddenly the staff becomes a serpent, alive, moving. Something that once seemed harmless now carries power. Moses jumps back in fear. And then God says, pick it up. Again, Moses obeys, and it turns back into a staff. Don't miss this. The staff didn't change its appearance permanently. It didn't become something else. It returned to what it was, but it was no longer the same. Because once something has been touched by God, it carries a different identity, even if it looks the same. This is the first layer of the hidden power. God doesn't always give you something new. He transforms what you already have. That staff would go on to become a symbol, not of Moses' strength, but of God's authority flowing through surrendered obedience. When Moses stood before Pharaoh, it wasn't charisma that shook the room. It wasn't strategy. It was obedience. God said, stretch out your staff. And when he did, plagues were released. Water turned to blood. Darkness covered the land. power moved not because of the object itself, but because of the obedience connected to it. Think about that. A stick confronting an empire, a shepherd confronting a king. And the difference wasn't status. It wasn't position. It was alignment. Then comes one of the most iconic moments in all of Scripture. The Red Sea, Israel trapped, mountains on one side, water in front, an army behind. No escape, no strategy, no visible solution. And once again, fear rises. Why did you bring us out here to die? It's the same pattern. Pressure reveals perspective. And when people can't see a way out, they question the one leading them. But God speaks again. And notice what he says. Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to move forward. Then comes the instruction. Stretch out your hand over the sea. And what's in that hand? The staff. Moses lifts it, not knowing exactly how, not knowing exactly when, but knowing who told him to do it. And suddenly, the sea begins to move. Waters separate. A path appears where there was none. Dry ground in the middle of impossibility. Here's the deeper truth. The miracle didn't begin when the sea parted. It began when Moses lifted the staff. Because the power was never in the object, it was in the obedience. This is what most people miss. They focus on the outcome, but God focuses on response. The staff wasn't magic. It wasn't a shortcut. It was a point of contact between heaven and earth, a physical expression of spiritual alignment. And this pattern continues. When Israel thirsts in the wilderness, God tells Moses to strike the rock with the staff. Water flows, provision from pressure, life from dryness. Over and over again, the same principle. God gives instruction. Moses responds. The staff is lifted. Power is released. But here's where it gets even deeper. Because the story of the staff isn't just about miracles. It's about identity. That staff started as a shepherd's tool, a symbol of Moses' past. But in God's hands, it became a symbol of divine authority. What does that mean for you? It means the very thing you've been holding on to, the thing you think is ordinary, the thing you think is just what you do, may actually be the key to your calling. Your voice, your experiences, your story, your gifts, your influence. You don't need something new. You need to surrender what you already have. Because when you place it in God's hands, it stops being just a skill. It becomes a channel. But there's another layer most people don't talk about, and it's this. The staff only worked when Moses followed God's instructions. There was a moment later in the journey when frustration took over. The people complained again. Pressure built again. And God gave Moses a different instruction. Speak to the rock. But Moses, overwhelmed and angry, struck the rock instead. Water still came out, but something shifted because partial obedience is still disobedience. And the consequence was real. Moses would not enter the promised land. Why? Because the power wasn't in the staff. And it wasn't even in the action. It was in the obedience. This is where many people get it wrong. They try to repeat what worked before, instead of listening for what God is saying now. The staff was never meant to replace relationship. It was meant to reflect it. So what is the hidden power behind Moses' staff? It's not the object. It's the principle. God uses what you have when you surrender it to him and move when he speaks. That's the formula. Simple, but not easy, because surrender requires trust. And trust requires letting go of control. And here's the truth. Most people don't struggle with ability. They struggle with obedience. They're waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, waiting for the perfect moment. But God is asking a different question. What is in your hand? Because your answer reveals your perspective. If you say, it's nothing special, you'll treat it like nothing. But if you recognize it as something God can use, everything changes. The staff didn't become powerful because of what it was. It became powerful because of who it was surrendered to. And the same is true for you. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to wait for something bigger. You don't need to chase something external. You need to take what you already have, place it in God's hands, and be willing to move. Because the moment you do, ordinary becomes extraordinary. Natural becomes supernatural. And what once felt insignificant becomes the very thing God uses to change everything. So, the next time you feel unqualified, unprepared, or unsure, remember this. A man with a stick changed history, not because of the stick, but because he said yes. And that same invitation is in front of you right now. What is in your hand? And what would happen if you finally surrendered it? Thanks for watching. I hope this message inspired you today. If it does, leave a comment, like, and share with someone who needs to hear this. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next inspiring video. Until then, God bless.